There we are.
Are we live?
You pressed the right button, Christos.
I
It
did
works.
I did press the right button.
Yeah.
What's up,
Happy time
everyone?
zone.
Good morning, happy time zone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I
Good
am
night.
being JP today. I am being JP today. I get to say this because JP is not here. And I shouldn't be here, actually. It should be
Nope.
Stefan and Daniel.
Yeah.
But I'm being two people today. I'm being JP and Daniel at the same time.
You have that split personality, right?
I am going crazy here. But I'm excited to be back because last time we had a blast, and today we're gonna have even more blasts. Looking
Yeah.
at logs, it's so exciting.
Yeah, exactly. More exciting stuff coming up. Yeah. And we were talking about oh yeah, I know. So I was plugging in my microphone and I was looking for an USB C cable to plug in my microphone. Actually, my wife stole it to charge her headset. So you told me I just ordered a lot of cables, and then I said, yeah, that I was planning on that too. But then I actually already put all the cables into my shopping cart in the online shop, and then I figured out that actually the shop that I was trying to use has been breached a few months ago, and they got like 3 million identities being stolen.
Damn.
Yeah, and the worst part is that in at first they say no, we got everything secured and hashed and there's no problem, but then the attacker, he probably got a little bit annoyed by the disinformation that the company was sending out. So he posted on one of the forums saying like, yeah, but we also got the salt of the MD5 hash that you used. So basically, like a large amount of passwords, we can just reverse them.
Yes.
Yeah, and so huge breach and terrible communication. And the interesting thing now, so what did they do to fix it? They probably should have gone to like an identity service. Exactly. Then you no need to care about that.
Did they come to us?
No, they didn't.
Did you send them an email saying, "Hey, we can get you the right publicity"?
We should do that. Yeah. No. So what they did, they sent out another
email,
press report. Yeah, email,
okay.
Saying that they now put the passwords in a unbreakable vault, which is write only, and you cannot read it out again. So now everything's safe. That's interesting piece of technology.
I want to see that now. I want to become a member of that, and then wait a minute. So,
yeah,
I am confused. It's a write only database.
Yeah,
that you cannot read, which is great because it's secure. How are they going to check the password for?
Nobody knows.
Man.
So there's actually a tech blogger who is on Twitter. He took some screenshots of those claims, and he said, okay, I'm gonna save this for later.
Yeah. Challenge accepted. It's an unbreakable database.
Exactly.
When people claim these things, it's absolutely ludicrous because, as we know, if you become a target, like if you become a proper target for hackers, then it's a matter of time. It's not if, it's a when. So
yeah, exactly.
Because it's not just let's say it's the software security, right? Let's say you have an ironclad software setup. Then there is social engineering. There is physical attacks.
Yep.
There is, there are so many different attack vectors that can take place beyond just your software that, saying that we're super secure, it's a ludicrous claim. So I don't want to say that it will happen again, and hopefully it won't happen again once it's in the news. But many companies have made these claims only to go back and eat their words.
Yeah, it's too bad the email is in Dutch. Otherwise, I would have shared it with you. But it's
Google Translate, my friend.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, I actually asked someone recently because we were talking about translating stuff. I'm not even sure what it was about. And then I said, does Bing Translate even still exist? And then someone was like, yeah, of course it's still there.
How dare you?
That's also the reason why I normally say, like, uh, go search for it with your favorite search engine.
Ooh,
Not
look at
indicating
you.
which one it is, but
Using the right terminology.
yeah, at some point you get drilled so much. So after, what is it, 7, 8 years at Microsoft, they drill you so much to be so politically correct to say those things. But yeah, Bing Translate.
Yeah,
I will
Bing
put it
Translate.
through it, and I will send it to you. And I think it will be even more laughable after the Bing Translate than it already is in Dutch right now. So that was exciting.
We have a few people on the stream. Code with Sean. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
I hope you're well. Welcome to the stream, everyone, this morning or afternoon or evening, whatever your time
Yeah.
zone is.
Good to see you here.
Yeah, good to see you. Let us
Yeah,
know if you have any questions. Do you know if this breach made it to Troy Hand's website? Have I been pawned?
Which was it? Oh, the one. I'm not sure actually. Should check because it has actually being the biggest breach of accounts in the Netherlands. What I said, there was like 3+ million accounts that were in there. But to conclude, this is the reason why I still have a white cable connected to my black microphone, which is actually too short, and which my wife will steal to charge her headset.
Yeah,
but champagne problems, right?
My mic is lower, apparently. Is it better now?
Yeah, you're hiding it. No,
is it better now?
The good thing.
Closer.
Yeah,
How about now?
Oh, there you go.
Is it better?
Maybe I'm just too loud. The problem is my microphone arm cannot go any lower. So otherwise, I need to do it like this.
I will increase the gain now. So I wonder.
Oh yeah, you're way louder now.
Way louder. Should I bring it down
I'm just a loud person probably. I think that's the problem.
Well, the whole thing is that this software normalizes it for us. There you go. Okay, thank you. Thanks for the feedback.
Nice. Thanks, Code with Sean. That's cool. So let's dive into today's content because based on the suggestion of last week, we are going to talking about reporting and monitoring. And I'm actually going to walk through the logs and explain the differences. But I thought it would be good, just like last week when we started about passwordless, to first start with the documentation and start where would be a great place to start if you're looking into reporting and monitoring, because there are so many, first of all, so many logs, so many reports, but also so many options to consume them and monitor them.
Yes.
So this docs page, which is actually called Plan and Azure Active Directory Reporting and Monitoring Deployment, is a great start. I'm not going to read through all of it because then it's going to be a very, very boring monologue. But one of the things I think is very important to know is that depending on the licensing plan you have, it differs which type of information you will get on the screen. So even with the free edition, we will give you information about signing in, but it's just the basic information that you need: who signed in, from where, and that's basically it. And then if you want to export that data and if you want to enrich it with some more information, that's where the Premium P1 plan kicks in. And then if you also want to have information about risk, so the identity protection piece of Azure AD, if you want to have that risk information in your log files and feed that to your SIEM, of course, Sentinel, then you want to go with the P2 plan. So if you look into this deployment plan, I think the cool thing about these things is, so this is all based on us working with our customers. So this is like real world stuff. Nice. that we put into a plan.
Okay.
And it goes further than only like the technical piece, because exporting a log, I can just go run a Graph API query, or I can just go into the interface and download a beautiful CSV file with the logs, and I have them. But what should I do with them? And how should I consume it? And who should be involved? And that's what is in here as well. So who are the stakeholders? And there's a link here also to figure that out. How to plan communication around this, how to document, and this is such an important thing, right? Documentation, and I have the same problem. I have some projects on GitHub. Not saying that I'm a great developer, but I have some projects on GitHub, and then writing them is fun, but writing the documents and describing like how you need to install it and do it in a way that people understand. That's the hard piece.
Right.
I once wrote an extension for a program that I'm using, and I thought that because we're doing software development with Azure AD, I know how important it is to make it as easy as possible for people to install and use.
Yep.
So I thought I did the easiest installation, because I thought every web server would have PHP, and I don't want them to install a MySQL database. I want them to keep it easy. So let's do the SQLite database.
Okay.
You don't want to know how many people already struggled with the first step. This is for a non-technical. This is a audio playout system, and basically what I created was a request module around it, so people could request songs and they will automatically show up in your playlist.
Okay.
And then I figured out, for example, like the one thing I didn't think of, and that's why that planning phase is so good, is that SQLite is a module that needs to be available on the host that you're running it. And I came to the conclusion, even deploying it myself, not on my developer machine or not on my machine, but on a host, that is not as default as I thought it would be. Yes. So that's where a lot of people got stuck and nobody used it. And this was basically my quarantine project a year ago. And it ended after 2 weeks, still in the same state. And
we accept pull requests, people. We accept pull requests.
Yes, please help me out. That was the whole idea of putting it on GitHub. I was hoping other people would contribute to it and help out.
Yeah, there's millions of projects, and
I know. It's so actually someone wanted to deploy it very recently. And I was sitting next to that person. So I said, I know a lot of people struggled with it, but let me do it because I know how to do it. It's very easy. I didn't succeed. It's still not working. It's my own code, my own stuff. But a year later, I was like, okay, I now understand.
Who wrote this garbage? I can't deploy it.
So a little sidestep here, but just to indicate how important it is to do the planning there, right? So reporting and monitoring. Also think about business cases. Think about how to connect to existing systems. Integrating with SIEM systems. What
is SIEM for those that are not initiated?
So I actually don't know what the abbreviation stands for.
Sorry, man. Throwing you under the bus there.
Yeah, no. Let me use my favorite search engine.
Cloud native SIEM solutions. So
Security, information, and event management.
There you go.
I know what it does. Yeah. So it's basically gathering all information from all kinds of systems, consolidating them, and it can help you figure out what's happening across all your systems, but it can also send you notifications. So an example of it would be Azure Sentinel. Yes. And that's the cloud native one. Most of them are not cloud native. Actually, Azure Sentinel was one of the first being cloud native and born in the cloud. So.
You mean for all the clouds, the first one that is cloud native? Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's pretty unique.
You had it here first.
I'm not sure if that's true, but you heard it for the first time on this show. So it will gather all the information, and of course, identity being the control plane is one of the important pieces to that information. So what it can do, it can in a SIEM system, you can see this user signed into Azure AD, but it also accessed a system somewhere else, and then in a SIEM system, you can merge that information and create alerts around that. So, for example, and I will also show some workbooks in Azure AD which you can use to investigate if you that SolariGate thing. There are workbooks and stuff that can already warn you, someone did this, and this together at this point, which could indicate that you're under an attack. So that makes it pretty cool.
SolariGate stuff, yes. How to protect against it.
Exactly. So we got a decision part right here. One thing you need to keep in mind is that we keep log files for 30 days in Azure AD.
So you need to export them yourself in order for you to have full accountability across time. Nice. Exactly. And I'm pretty sure that there's an export function somewhere to do that.
There is. That's actually underneath here, but I will come to that later. And I first want to just dive into how does those logs look, and How can I use them? So I'm now on a different machine that actually has Sumit.
Oh, very nice.
Fancy
Wait a
stuff.
minute. Did you get a new machine just for the stream?
No.
No.
It's
No.
it's because I'm doing this with you and you're hosting this. My machine has a little bit more resources available, so I can now use my primary machine, which
You gave
already
me
had
back
Sumit installed.
5% of my RAM is back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So going to Azure Active Directory, of course, the portal where it's all about. And the interesting thing is you can find log files in many different places.
Well, that's not interesting. That's worrying because
Yeah, I know.
you have to consolidate all these things, right? That's
Yeah,
the whole point.
Yeah, you would think, but you have like the primary spot where everything is, and then
Okay.
you have consolidated views on places where you probably need that consolidated view.
I see.
So let me first go into into the menu. Look, now I got multiple screens and I lost my mouse. Where are you?
More problems. I've got too
Yeah,
many
I know.
screens. I can't find my mouse.
Where's it go? Oh, wait. Sumit was still on.
Oh.
So we're going, if you look at the menu, you're going down to monitoring, and there you see sign it, audit, provisioning, logs, diagnostic settings, workbooks, usage, and insights. A lot of stuff. And this is the stuff that you can get out of the system and can consolidate into a SIEM system.
Okay.
But also the reason why there are multiple things is that they serve multiple purposes and could be leveraged also by different teams.
Yes, I imagine.
And there's also delegation you can do. There are specific roles that give you the ability to only view specific information into those sign-in logs.
Okay.
Or into those logs. Because I wanted to start with sign-ins. So sign-ins is about actually someone signing in to something connected to Azure AD.
Yes.
So
anything.
that can
first-party app, third-party apps, everything, right?
Everything.
Good.
But there's also a split between those things. So we have user sign-ins, interactive. We have user sign-ins, non-interactive. We have service principal sign-ins, and we have managed identity sign-ins.
Oh,
so they are all split up. Yeah, and actually the service principal sign-ins and the managed identity sign-ins, those have been added like half a year ago or something, I think.
Okay.
Which of course is a great benefit, because if I build an app that uses a service principal to get some data, I want to be able to see what that app is doing and when and where. So that's possible right now.
That's good. Oh, you mean, are these new additions to the logs?
Yes. Yeah. New as in, I think like 6, maybe more months ago. Time flies.
Still new. Yeah, still new.
You're at home.
Yes.
We're
having fun with logs.
Yeah, exactly. Especially fun. So let's first go through the top menu. So there are a few things I can do here. I have a download button, which probably I can download a CSV or a JSON. So basically, I can say the current view, download the JSON, and then I can choose which one. So interactive sign-ins, I want those.
Okay.
Download, and there it goes. I can open the file.
Oh, you're using the new ads. I like the new download menu.
It's nice, right?
Yeah.
And then it's opening over here, and there we have all the data in JSON.
That's JSON, right?
Yeah, it's JSON. Yeah.
Control Alt Shift F, man. Format this baby.
Yeah. Alt Shift F. There we go. Way better.
My eyes were bleeding back there. Like, what's that? A wall of text.
It was almost like opening a CSV. So here you can see all those events going through, so you can leverage into your own system. So this is a manual action. I press the button, I get a JSON, which is cool, but probably not if you're in a big organization, or even a small one.
I can imagine Microsoft MSIT admins doing that. That would be insane.
Yeah, they actually hired a few people to do that every day. Press the button.
If you want a job and you want to press buttons, then we have a job for you in the MSIT.
Yeah, I will post a job description in the chat. You can apply. So I can also show the CSV, but you probably believe me, I get the same data, but then in a different format.
I believe.
And then export data settings
Okay.
will take you to a different place where you can see like where is this data also going. So I send this data also to log analytics
Yep.
in a specific I'm going to come to that later, so we're going to leave this for now.
Can it be on the same tenant, or does can it be on a different tenant? Can it be on a different Azure subscription if you want to export them, or does it need to be on the same subscription?
Same subscription.
I see.
Or
Okay.
yeah, the subscription should be connected to your tenant.
Okay.
We got a troubleshoot button over here where we just get some information. So how do I integrate with a SIEM? All those type of guides that are there.
We have a question.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
IDK Dudwai. That's I don't know Dudwai. I like that. 45. So, are there any built-in policies for the diagnostic settings?
So they will be generated as soon as you connect a log analytic workspace. So basically, the reason I have it's already there in my tenant is that I already connected that log analytics. So if I go to logs here, just a little bit of a spoiler from what's coming, but this is actually going to the log analytics workspace. And normally when you would press this button, it will ask you to create or connect to a log analytics workspace, and then it will automatically, I'm just going to leave this query here for now. It will automatically create this diagnostic setting here. We can look into the setting, and it will basically tell you like what type of logs do I want to export. And here you see also like the licensing requirement pointed out. And you can see we can also do ADFS sign-in logs. I will come to that later. And then this one has been created so I can send it to a log analytics workspace. But I do have other options. I can use a storage account, or I can use an event hub to send my data
to consume in real time. However,
yes, correct.
That's good. Now, I think the actual question was, is there some Azure policy that can automatically onboard Azure AD to log analytics? Azure AD logs log analytics.
Yeah, so basically what I just said, when you click logs the first time, it's like one click.
Yeah.
And it will connect to those log analytics. That's basically the only thing you need to do to connect it.
But you need to provision a log analytics, I guess.
No, it will create the log analytics for you, or you can select the one that you already use. Yeah, but nice. You do need a subscription connected.
Yes. Yeah. So if you're using the Microsoft 365 developer tenant, for example, then it won't work because you're not attached to an Azure subscription.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
But you can just start an Azure trial. Which gives you 107. I'm not sure how much it is in dollars or any other amounts.
$200 per for the first month.
Okay,
and then
it's 170 euros. I'm not sure about that conversion rate. I don't think it's very fair. But
that is not very fair.
No, it's not fair, right?
Because when you buy stuff, it's like $200 or 200 euros, right?
Yeah.
But when they give you stuff, they go like, oh yeah, we need to convert to the actual.
Exactly.
We need to convert to the actual conversion rate.
Yeah. The conversion rate that works best for us. Okay. So now I'm actually talking bad about.
They got a balance from the. Let's move on.
Okay. So you need a subscription.
Joking aside, portal.azure.com/free. It's fantastic because it does give you a lot of free credits and then a lot of free services forever. You don't have to pay for anything. So
yeah, it does require some kind of credit card.
Apparently, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
My
really?
neighbor signed up maybe 2 weeks ago. I was like, oh man, you had to go through that. Did they ask you for a credit card? He said no.
Wow, I should have known that before. So what I actually did, so my bank allows me to create virtual credit cards in the app up to 25, which are temporary. So I just created a virtual credit card, use those details, go through the process, and deleted the card.
So it's almost like a one-off credit card based on your credit already? Very nice.
Yeah, and I can I can have up to 25 bank accounts, separate bank accounts, and I can connect it to any bank account. Man. So I actually had a friend who didn't have a credit card but needed to buy a one-time thing. So I said, I will just create a bank account for you. I connect the card. I will send you a link where you can up money to that bank account, and then you can just use that card to buy the thing you want to. And then after that, I will just delete everything and it's done. And you bought the thing you want.
I don't know, dude. Why? What do you mean? How did he do that? The virtual credit card, the Azure subscription, or the logs?
Yeah, let us know. I will go. So we have the columns one over here. And I press the I don't think I need to explain the refresh
button. Oh, the credit card.
Yeah.
Europe is so far ahead from the US when it comes to the banking system. So his bank allows him to create virtual credit cards on his account and then use them as one-offs, or if he wants to attach them to, say, a recurring payment and then he wants to cancel it, he cancels the virtual credit card and it's all gone.
Exactly.
Oh, does it come with the same rights? Like if you buy something with your Visa, right? And say it was never delivered, you're covered by that from your credit card provider?
No. These are basically more like debit cards.
Okay.
So there's no insurance on it whatsoever. So I do have an actually Amex credit card with insurance that I use when I book travel and everything. Yes. This is just fun, easy if you want to do, like, if you think, I'm not sure if I trust this website. Yeah. Let's just create
like the one that you were trying to buy cables from.
Yeah, exactly. I should have used that. I didn't.
So late now. See, next time.
I know. Always afterwards, right? So the refresh button does this beautiful thing. It refreshes the list. And then the columns, which is interesting. So we do have a standard set of information here, and then you can add information to it. You can extend it. So for example, I can say client app, operation system. So correlation ID, you probably talked about that on one of the other 45 shows, I guess. But
no. You mean that when an error message happens and you get a correlation ID? Yes.
So this is very, very important if you are going to open a support case. So if you have some kind of sign-in or something strange happening and you want to open support case, if you have that correlation ID, that's like the internal identifier for us linked to that event. So that makes life a lot easier for us. And then we can actually, like, say, tokenize your name, establish, select the one.
So in effect, the correlation ID identifies the specific event. And then, or are there multiple events attached to that correlation ID during the sign-in? Like when you issue the auth code and when you get the user signed in and when they sign out, will they all have the same correlation ID, or are they always different? Is it based on a session, or is it based on unique events?
Based on a unique event.
Okay, so there'll be a different correlation ID for every single event.
Yeah, but internally we can follow from one correlation ID. We can follow a series of events going through. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Okay.
So that's there. So that's the columns. And then you see it's now on the last 24 hours. And as I mentioned before, we do have a max of 30 days or 1 month. So that's where it goes, back to 1 month. Let's click apply. Probably some more will pop up. And maybe I was hoping, there you go, some different names as well.
Yep.
All the same IP address. This is the thing, like working from home. All my demos are from the same IP address. Please go hack my IP address. No.
You can get a dynamic IP address though, right?
It is dynamic, but it only switches when there's an outage and they come back, then I have a new IP address. So normally it will stay the same. Also, if you ever want to visit me, don't go to Daemon. I don't live there. That's just the location mapped to my IP address.
Very nice.
Okay, so I can apply other filters. So I can say, like, the dates are now to where I'm at, so the Netherlands. So I can say UTC. You can see it should change with 1 hour or 2. Yeah, 2 hours because of daylight saving. And then I can add some more filters. So I can actually filter on a lot of stuff here. So I can say location, apply. And then I can say which city, which state, which country, so I can filter out all the stuff that is there. So I can just apply a lot of filters to this interface. And this can be so this is very basic investigation, right? If something strange happened, if you think that an account is under an attack or is being stolen, this is the place where you could start. If you don't have a SIEM system and a more advanced system that brings it together, this is a great place to start, because you can say, tell me everything about that account. And you can see, for example, this status says interrupted.
Right.
So if I'm looking to this, whoop, there's another panel popping up when I click it, which gives me even more information.
Okay.
So all the basic stuff is here. And then it will also tell me something about the failure reason. So in this case, the user or administrator has not consented to use the application with ID. I think there should be an ID there. Send an interactive authorization request to this user. So
That's
basically,
okay.
What happens here is that I tried to use an application which wanted to use some information from me, from the tenant. I needed to consent, but I canceled the consent. So I looked at the information that the website wanted from me, in this case, the Graph Explorer. Yep. And I said, no, I don't want to share this. And this is why the sign-in was interrupted. You also have some more stuff here. User ID, you can see if it's flagged for review. You even get some performance information. So what is the latency? What is the time it took for this request to be handled? So this is also a great way to investigate. If you have if you have people complaining like signing taking so long, then you have some information here. Location information, as I said, this is bound to an IP address. So what I said, I don't live in Diemen. I live in a way prettier, beautiful city. Maybe one time I'm going to show you, but I can tell you where I live is way more beautiful than Diemen. There's actually a song about Diemen, but let's not go there. Some device info. So it will tell me my browser. It will tell me my operating system. And this is also very valuable information. It will tell me if it's compliant, managed, and if it's how it's joined. So what I can do, I can join my machine, Azure AD join my machine to the tenant.
Yes.
And I can also use Intune to put policies on it. So I can say this device needs to have the firewall enabled. It needs to be encrypted and all that type of stuff. And that goes into the compliant flag. So this would tell me, like, was this device compliant or not, which can indicate if it's not compliant, that there's a possibility that maybe they're using a machine which contains malware or anything like that.
Okay.
Which can help me. Authentication details. So what it will tell me here is like what type of authentication is being used. So in this case, we're only requiring a first factor. It succeeded, and previously satisfied means I was already signed in to Azure AD. So I already had that refresh token, which I used to get a new access token. So that's what this is saying. There should be an event somewhere. Let me see into the details here. There's the scroll bar. So here we have one with multi-factor authentication. So let's have a look into that one. And here you can see all the details. So first sign-in was previously satisfied. So I used my refresh token to get access. The second one is an authentication it's a request because what I did required me to do multi-factor. And it even tells me what type of, so it was a mobile app notification. It did not succeed. And authentication in progress, this basically means that it timed out. So Azure AD sent me a push notification and I didn't respond. So that's why it wasn't satisfied. But this could also tell stuff about an attacker, right? Yes. Like someone tried to sign in and then I got this full list of all my conditional access policies, which are applied, disabled, not applied. So you can even tell, like, if someone experiencing something strange, like why do I need to do MFA? Why I'm not able to sign in? It could be because of a conditional access rule, and you can see it here.
Right.
Same goes for report only. This is part of conditional access. So I can put a conditional access rule into what we call report only mode. That means that instead of enforcing it, I will execute the rule, but I will only report on it. And then it will end up in this one.
Okay, nice.
Additional detail, login hint present true. This basically means instead of a screen that would ask me for my sign-in name, it showed me the screen where it would already list with which account I'm signed in, so I could click that. So even that type of details is in those sign-in logs for you to consume.
Okay.
So this is the new interface. If I click this button, I go back to the old interface. which I think, so there's a little bit less columns. Oh, wait, so the refresh token and application sign-ins are not in this one, and in this one they are. Look here, you have those things over here. I told you this is not the only place you can find it. You can actually find it as well over here. If I go to a user, it's over here. This is sign-in logs for all the users, but I can even go into this one, the user itself, and press sign-ins, and it will only show me the sign-in events from this particular user.
Okay.
So it actually already automatically applies a filter, so it will only show the sign-in events for this user. So this could also be useful, for example, for a help desk, that they're just seeing the list of users. That's their primary interface. Someone is calling them and say, "Oh, I got an MFA prompt, or I'm unable to sign in." This is something they can use to debug here as well. So that's the sign-in piece, the very basic sign-in. And the amount of data that you've seen here in the sign-in in the information, so this depends on also the level of subscription you have connected to your tenant. So I have a fully licensed P2 tenant, so I see everything.
Very nice.
But
there are get that one on the Microsoft Developer tenant as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So you would have that and then as well. So this is interactive. So this basically means that I was sitting behind the screen and I was going through that authentication process. So I was involved there as a user. Non-interactive basically means that it was my account, but it was someone else authenticating for me. So that could be like I delegated some. So if I would sign into an application, and that application wanted to get data from an API, but wanted to do that on behalf of me, because in that API we want to see that who's the person that signed into that app, get that data. So this is what that's doing. It's not asking the user, but it's the app. It's the interactive app that's doing that. And the funny thing, you see AD Ibiza UX. This doesn't mean that you went on a holiday to Ibiza. I wish I was on Ibiza on the 21st of April, which is actually today. But I can tell you, when I open my window, you don't see a beautiful beach or palm trees, or you don't hear any clubs going on, although they're now closed. But this is actually
back in the good old days. Yes,
exactly. This is actually the Azure AD portal. So where we're clicking through right now.
Yep.
Because what it does, everything you click on in Azure portal, there's an API call behind it, and that API call would be done on behalf of you. So this is basically the Azure portal asking for a token to get data on behalf of you to show into the portal. So that's the non-interactive, because the interactive part here was me signing into the portal. So that's this one, the Azure portal, me signing in. And then a non-interactive one was basically me clicking through the portal and getting data from the portal. So you can see this is coming from privileged identity management. So I did something I asked for permission or something. So that's what it is. And then we have the service principal sign-ins. And you probably know that a service principal is basically something that is could be behind. It could be an application. So it's a non-person or non-user object, which can have rights and can get its own access token. So it could be an agent running somewhere that needs to get access to the Microsoft Graph or access to something there, which is called a service principal. And this will show those service principals and which service principal it was. So this was the B2B admin app, which is a service principal. And this is the Azure AD domain services, which is a separate portal which uses this is the sync for Azure AD domain services, which is a separate domain. And this is reading data from Azure AD to domain services. So domain services is the application having that service principal, and that service principal is being used to read data from Azure AD. And so this is the idea of the service principal. So this is a built-in one, but you can have your own for your own custom application. And it will give you, so I can go through that application, but that was not what I was planning on doing. Let me go back to the sign-in logs and the service principal ones over here. So I can click that one again to get some more details. So, and also that correlation ID, I can see if it was a success or not, which time, and you can see the location. And this is fun because it is. Because you can see if, for example, if you in your code, for some reason, left the client ID and the client secret, which is basically the username and password of a service principal.
Yes.
If you leave that in your code and by accident press push to GitHub, and somehow it ended up on a public GitHub, someone takes those credentials, they can just use it to sign in. And you can check to see if it's coming from the host that's running or the set of hosts that's running your applications, or it is someone else. And you can even put events on locations of those service principals. So in Sentinel, I can set up an alert saying if this service principal
logs in from outside the Europe or outside a specific IP range, alert me. Nice.
Then alert me. Yeah.
That is nice.
So that's a nice one. And this one is actually what I said is funny because the B2B admin app is a Microsoft app. So I would let's go to the domain services one. Now
and while you're doing that, just a disclosure, please do not use secrets. Please use passwords when you have to use client credential flows. We usually show client credentials with passwords during the stream because it's easier to set up and it's easier to deploy. However, in an enterprise environment, we don't want people to do that. So we want everyone to be using certificates or Key Vault and certificates, even better.
So I got the Azure AD domain services IP address. And as this is a Microsoft service, this should be an Azure IP address. And this should be the Amsterdam Azure data center. IP lookup.
Let's find it on Google Maps.
I think this... Oh, this is just showing my IP, right? I always forget, RIPE should be able to do a lookup. The owner of the... Oh, wait, this is... No, it's
the wrong RIPE. Oh, be careful what you search for.
I know.
I mean, it could have gone significantly wrong. Morning, Bolt, how are you? Or happy time zone. I don't know where you are, and could be near the afternoon.
We have the IP address.
But thanks for joining us.
Look, there it is. Microsoft IP address. And look at the fun thing where it actually says it's connected to Germany.
But it's under the Microsoft Limited UK, which is the UK name. That's crazy.
Yeah.
No, GB is UK, man. Great Britain.
Oh yeah, of just Great Britain. Yeah. So yeah, but that's the thing with IP address, and this is why using IP addresses to block access for a specific location is terrible because it would never. Oh look, we actually have a contact name of a colleague. Should we call him?
I'll ping them on Teams just now.
Exactly. So no, just to show you the IP address. So this is coming from a host, but if you have your own apps, then you would show up here as well. And then we have the managed identity sign-ins. I don't have any managed identities, but we were just talking about secrets and how you should not use them in your applications.
Okay.
The best and easiest way, and I don't want to make this a developer episode because we are on the IT Pro one, so you probably did something on managed identities. If not, you should do that on one of the developer shows, Christos.
I feel hurt now.
Yeah, so because this
I
is
don't want to turn this into developer, so no.
It's already 50% developer version with you on it, or no, just kidding. So this is a very easy way of, if you run a service that needs an identity, needs a service principal, you can do the managed identities, which basically means you don't need to care about the secrets. You don't need to care about how to store them and how to get the tokens. You have a local IDP that you call. It will give you a token and you can use it. And under the hood, the managed identity system will communicate with Azure AD and will make sure that you get the right tokens and that the secrets are stored there. Very cool technology.
Okay.
So that's the managed identities. Wow. Okay. So we already spent 45 minutes on only the sign-ins, and we still need to go through the. I feel a number two, let's say number two
Stream.
stream coming
Subsequent
up.
stream coming.
Subsequent stream. Thank you. Number two made
There's
me
a
think
lot
of
to
all
unpack
other
here,
stuff.
man.
But
There's a lot to unpack here.
there's a lot. Sorry.
To unpack.
Yeah, there
Go
is.
through.
Yeah. Okay. So this is sign-ins. Then we have audit, which is just as important, but different.
So is this people changing things on Azure AD and you get an audit log, right?
Yep, exactly. So I can see the last month apply. So the whole top is the same, right? It's the same filtering and look, refresh. Whee! That's the same. But I can see anything and everything anything is doing within the system and who is doing it and through basically what time of app.
That's if people come here to change. So if people come to Azure AD to create a new subscription, a new app registration, or change settings, or change policies. So if
everything,
if somebody breaks something, you can come back into the audit logs and start working backwards to see when was the last change.
Exactly. So here, for example, one failed. Ooh. And this is just, this is me not understanding JSON formatting.
Now, Alt Shift F on your...
that was a great... I learned something today, and that's great. So it will say a validation exception. I try to change. So even failures are in here. I tried to set a policy. I did something wrong with the JSON, so it didn't validate right, and it gave a failure. In the end, I did, however, figure it out and got a success. So you can see it here.
Persistence.
Exactly.
I will make it. I won't live until I make it, right?
Yeah, and here you can even see, like, what did I do? Display name, what did I add? But also things like user management. I updated a user. And let me go to the activity, update user. So this is this is the device registration service. I think I updated something to the device registration. And it will tell you who did it and what were the modified properties. Oh, look, I registered a FIDO key. So this should be last week.
Last week, yes.
Yep. So for my account, the old value were these are all the FIDO keys that I had. And then I added a key to it so I can get all the details over here, also on those keys. By the way, we have a much more beautiful report on this, on FIDO keys and who's using it.
Yes.
But this is very...
If you missed last week's episode, it's on our YouTube channel under the IT Pro. We even have a playlist for the IT Pro stuff. So make sure you check it out and see how you can set up your own FIDO keys. FIDO 2 keys.
And then
FIDO 1 or FIDO no number?
FIDO, there's a FIDO 1.
Okay.
So FIDO, so it's not really FIDO 1 because FIDO consists of multiple things.
Okay.
But the first FIDO was focused on second factor. Okay. FIDO 2 is the one focused on going passwordless.
Yes.
So
FIDO 2.
That's basically the whole. So FIDO 2.
Yes.
There's no FIDO 3 yet, but there are some people working on specs. But it's the same. Now we were talking about numbering. OAuth 3. I watched on Identiverse. I watched a session on that. There's no OAuth 3, but there are people looking into OAuth 2 because there's also an OAuth 1, which is way different.
Oh yeah.
There are people looking at OAuth 2 and see how can we do an approved version, and they already call it OAuth 3. So there's probably someone working on FIDO 3 as well.
Yeah.
Curious to see. So these are the audit logs. I can actually also specify that I can filter it here, or I can also go to users and then say audit logs, and then it will only show me audit logs around user management.
So this is a cut down version of all the logs into just user activity, right?
Exactly. So you could do it on the generic one, or you can just be lazy if you don't want to type the word user management. Do a few clicks, and then you're here. And you can also see like there's an app role assignment to grant the user on the app service now. I did it. I do everything in my tenant. And then you can even see like what did I update here? What is the information? So yeah, it's pretty neat. It's all the stuff you need when you're into compliance. It's definitely a thing that you need to look at.
It is definitely very important. Now, you talked about log analytics.
Hmm.
Does log analytics use storage behind the scenes to store the logs, or is it more of a real-time export of the last 30 days in Azure AD?
There is storage, so there is a synchronization, so there is a lag, and the log analytics go further than 30 days. So
Because it goes into storage. So
it
when you
goes into
set up the
storage.
export, it will set up the storage account plus the log analytics surface so you can look at the logs.
Yeah, and that's why it's
Perfect.
important if you look at the diagnostic settings here
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that you only export the stuff that you really need in this
Okay.
storage,
Yep.
because this can grow very huge.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Especially for
um,
large tenants, right?
exactly. Yeah, if there's a lot happening, you probably want to have a look into this
Uh-huh.
and filter things out and look at the
So what is
retention.
the advice? Would it be something like, I have a tool that stores so it exports everything from Azure AD, and
Hmm.
then let's say for the last 3 months, maybe we keep in hot storage, and then everything else becomes archival cold storage. Before that, is that the
Yeah,
recommended approach?
so it really depends on your needs. So
Okay.
with the log analytics, I can very easily run a query and get data out of it. So it is almost real time. If I put it in a oh, sorry,
So
I
Paul
saw
is
the
saying
comment.
that's a problem for the finance team, not for us. I see what you're saying there,
Yeah,
Bolt, but I totally get it. Like you
yeah.
get you get export done, but
Yeah, no, I actually watched in real life, in a
uh-huh.
real person was standing in front of me. So this is over a year ago, talking about the best practice around log analytics. So I'm not a big log analytics specialist. I know how to
Okay.
connect it and run a
Mm-hmm.
few basic queries, but it's not only Azure AD, right? It will gather a lot of stuff from a lot of places and has a
Yes.
very powerful language to query it. But
Mm-hmm.
that person was showing like, if you're starting with this, you're probably gonna check every box. You want
Yes.
everything. I want all the information.
Yep.
And then at some point you're gonna look at the amount of money it's consuming, and
You
you're
start
like,
turning off
man,
things. We don't
yeah.
really need these logs, do
I
we?
I I, I hope you turn it off before you need to sell your house or car to pay for the
Yes.
log analytics workspace. But yeah, so that's a very good point to
I
look
am
into.
pretty sure that in the monitoring we will see some stuff, but as with all the logging, whether you're doing development or infrastructure, it is very important to tweak the logs to only
Yeah.
give you the information you need, because you only realize how much junk you have, or when you don't have enough information when it comes to trying to audit for something. If it's an
Yep.
application, you try to troubleshoot why there was a stack exception, why you got an exception, why something failed, and then you either have way too much information, you can't go through that, or you don't have enough information at all, and you cannot find the problem. It hasn't been logged. So the whole point there, even with Azure AD logs, will be how can you intelligently store enough information to allow you to get the problem sorted
Hmm.
without logging too much, and that will be a tweak. You will need to tweak it. You will need to fix it. You will need to do trial and error. And I don't know if we have any best practice around that. And then there are tools on top of the raw logs that we will probably see on the next stream that show you
Yep.
how you can benefit from AI, machine learning, and intelligent stuff for you and your users. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, so we're planning on, and that's not going to be next week, but soon we're planning on having a Azure Sentinel specialist also on the show. So
very
that's the SIEM,
nice.
and
Yes.
and then we're going to show you, or that person is going to show you the other side. It's the dark side where they have the
Dark
cookies,
side. Ooh.
and that person will show you like how you would consume this information on the other side. So.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this is the log so we went through the audit logs.
Yep.
We clicked on the log analytics, which the data exported to, and here you can use those queries. As I said, I am not a great expert on this, but there's actually a predefined set of
Queries.
queries that you
Nice.
can use.
Oh, that's good.
So I can say unauthorized users. Let's run that and see
What?
what's happening.
You
So
probably you might
run.
not have any, right?
No, I don't have any. No, I'm
Yeah.
well protected.
You're well authorized. Now,
Yeah.
I'm curious, what does containers mean? Oh, so this is all for the application registrations and seeing what happens? That's insane. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And then so I can see like top 10 countries by traffic for this
Okay.
tenant.
That'll be
Which,
easier.
it's the last hour. Let's change it
Oh,
to
last month.
custom.
Custom.
And then
But you only
let's
have 30 days worth of logs, right?
no. So in log analytics, it's basically
Oh,
how much
okay.
you put
That's
into
exported.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So the 30 days is those sign-in and audit logs. What we store in Azure AD is 30 days. But
Okay.
that's the reason you want to export it to log analytics or any other system. It's
I didn't
because
realize that this was actually going to log analytics from this interface. I thought you were still inside
yeah.
Azure
So
AD.
no.
Right.
So we actually build in a view of log analytics into the Azure AD portal, so you
I
don't need to
see.
leave it.
I see. Clever.
Yeah. So
So
this
what?
query.
So if you scroll down on the other, on the other logs, what does containers and database give you?
So these are actually in general for log
Oh.
analytics. So this is
for everything.
yeah,
Right,
that's the
okay.
interesting thing. So this is not Azure AD specific.
I was like, okay, that's very interesting. I can monitor my container sign-ins.
Yeah.
That's insane. Okay.
So let's do
Okay.
this one. Most active service principals. I'm curious to see. So
Do you have any
look, there we
service?
go.
There you go. One.
Yeah, it's
One
one.
sign-in.
So now what we can figure out is, so we
Who
have
it
the service
is.
principal and who it
Yeah.
is. I let me. I guess
While you're searching for that, very important. There is also a feature for consumers or for end users, especially on Microsoft accounts, like live accounts, where you can go and find out when and where your account was signed in, and also get alerts. So if you go into My Apps, right, this is where you can find a lot of information, and you also get alerts for "it wasn't me," the feature where it will tell you that someone tried to sign in from some random location in Japan, and that was definitely not me because I'm based in the US, for example. So it gives you some nice alerts from the consumer side of things.
so. I can search for the service principal using PowerShell, the Graph API. I will leave that for another time.
Okay.
Because it's not an application, so it could be something else that requires a service principal. So there, for example, there could be a script using a service principal
Yeah.
to execute some actions, and that one is not showing up here right now. There are a few service principals that are not there. So yeah, that's with the log and log analytics. You can run all those, and here you see like search star. This is all the stuff that is going there, and the heartbeat is basically checking like if the sync is there. So I get a service principal signing log here. So there you go. So this is a sign-in activity that we probably also saw in the sign-in, and it will give me all the details here as well. So here I can also combine stuff. So I can add my applications to log analytics and then grab the sign-in logs from Azure AD and combine them with the logs from my application, and I can follow a whole trail of information. But the other cool place, of course, where I can do that is in Azure Sentinel.
Okay.
Awesome. Cool. There's some more logs. So what I'm looking at the time, and what I'm thinking would be good for next week is to dive into the workbooks and the usage and insights, which is a little bit more visual, which are reports that pre-created, or you can create your own workbook based on the data that is there. Does that sound good?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome.
It was nice. It was nice going through the logs today because and finding out where those pesky correlation IDs are used, because I usually see them as the end user.
That is also a good point. You can use the correlation ID in the search in log analytics. So I can look for a sign in here, and I can see that correlation ID. And if I then want to have more details around or whatever, I can search into the logs itself as well. Or it can be very advanced here. I will make sure for next week I have some cool queries prepared we can execute against it. And also look into the workbooks and users and insights, which give you more stuff on top of the logs and audit stuff that is already built in.
Yeah, I also hope that there is some kind of machine learning and AI that surfaces certain events, so you don't have to manually go and look them or create those kind of alerts yourself.
Yeah, that's on the Sentinel side,
Yes.
especially. So that's we gonna keep for the special Sentinel episode. Maybe let's. I'm gonna.
I
I'm
see.
gonna.
I see. Oh, there's
Yeah.
nothing
So
built into the existing tooling. So only
so
Sentinel services are right.
no, you need. So if you wanna. So there are a few alerts that you can do in identity protection, for example, if a risk is high. So I can actually. I was about to say let's wrap it up, but still, I'm just gonna. So you can.
We can extend a few minutes. It's fine.
We can extend.
It's for a good cause.
Yeah, exactly. So there's of course also reporting here. So I'm already giving away some stuff. So you can do alerts in identity protection. So I can get an email when a security event would happen, when a high risk event happens.
Okay.
I will get an email. So that's one of the built-in alerts that we have.
Okay.
But most of the alerting, you would require like setting up a SIEM system or Sentinel. We provide the input, and we leave it to another system to report on that. Although we do have like nice overviews. Yeah, this is next week.
Next week.
Just gonna
don't
tease.
Give anything
Yeah.
out. It's a tease. It's a tease for
It's
next
a
week.
tease. Yeah,
so
exactly.
hopefully everyone can join us next week. If not, just be aware that we still have a Friday show with me and JP. We'll be building some fun stuff. We haven't decided yet. And we look forward to seeing you on Friday. Otherwise, Tuesday and Wednesday next week as normal. Thanks everyone for joining us. Thank you,
Thanks
Stefan,
everyone.
for doing this. And it was
Thanks,
fun.
Christos. It's
Learning
definitely
about stuff.
fun as always.
Let's go and raid someone because
Yeah,
we need to
that's a
keep
good one.
this. We need to keep this going, right?
Let's see if it goes better than last week when
I know it was weird
Twitch
last week.
failed on us. Yeah, it was.
Let's go and see our very good friend Lila. She's building something.
And Kobe Sean, thanks for mentioning it. We have a great Discord server as well, which you can join.
True
Thanks
that.
for putting in the link.
And our YouTube channel, and we'll have an Instagram and TikTok with lots of content coming. No dancing.
TikTok. Wow.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we're moving forward. There you go. Our first TikTok is here. We're going to go viral, I'm telling you. Right. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
See you. Bye-bye.
Rating is going through now. Almost there. And we're out.